Welcome to Xhibition, an Xbox podcast, episode number 50, the Big 50. My name is Samuel Adams, and this is a weekly show dedicated entirely to the world of Xbox, bringing you everything you need to know to keep yourself in the loop. So if you enjoy the show, you like what you see or what you hear, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, add the show to your podcast feed of choice, and get it delivered right to you each and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. But before we dive into today's news, which includes everything from Fortnite on iOS through the power of Xbox Cloud Gaming to some pretty big Embracer Group acquisitions, I did want to give a bit of a shout out to the team over at Carpool Gaming. They recently rebranded their entire operation over there. It used to be Yumi and Capri with the Xbox Drive, the PlayStation Drive, the Nintendo Drive, and so much more. They have now become Carpool Gaming. Yesterday, they did a little stream announcing some pretty awesome initiatives after hitting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Their Patreon is popping off, and they have a fantastic community that I am proud to be a part of. So, if you have not already, head over there, check out Carpool Gaming, see the shows they make, and find yourself a little nugget of content to enjoy. Highly recommend that group over there. They are just a big part of my weekly life, and they're becoming a bigger and bigger part of my weekly life. They've got some awesome stuff on social media as well, which is where I tend to connect with a lot of my podcasting compadres, the shows that I listen to. I love the social media side of podcasting where people are just out there tweeting and sharing their thoughts, and it adds some details, some sustenance to the weekly shows. So with all that being said, enough of me rambling. Head over there, check out Carpool Gaming, definitely worth your time. But as I mentioned, this has been a very big week in the world of Xbox, specifically driven by Xbox Cloud Gaming, with not only Fortnite launching without the need for an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership, but on top of that, also some new rumors swirling once again that Microsoft is going to be releasing a streaming device of some kind and boosting that Xbox Cloud Gaming initiative in the months ahead. So we'll talk about that and more on today's show. Of course, some acquisition talk as well. It would not be a podcast in 2022 without some acquisition talk, now would it? But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. After its removal from the App Store and the Google Play Store last year, Fortnite is back on iOS and Android thanks to the power of Xbox Cloud Gaming. This news came from Catherine Gluckstein, the VP and head of product at Xbox Cloud Gaming, who writes, "As part of our mission to bring the joy and community of gaming to players wherever they are and to make gaming more accessible to people around the world, I am excited to announce that we have partnered with Epic Games to make Fortnite available on supported browser-enabled devices for free with Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta in 26 countries. This means, starting today, if you love Fortnite, you only need two things to play in cloud-supported markets: a Microsoft account, an iOS, iPadOS, Android phone or tablet, or Windows PC with internet access. With no installation or memberships required, all you need to do is go to xbox.com/play on your web browser and sign in with your Microsoft account to party up with friends or earn your next victory royale in Fortnite. Whether you want to play Fortnite with native touch controls or a supported controller, it's easy to jump into Fortnite with Xbox Cloud Gaming. It's an important step to add free-to-play titles, or I should say add a free-to-play title to the Cloud Gaming catalog as we continue our cloud journey. We are starting with Fortnite and will look to bring more free-to-play games people love in the future. At Xbox, we want to make gaming accessible to the 3 billion players around the world, and cloud has an important role in that mission. Quite simply, we want you to have more choice in both the games you play and the way you choose to play them. For more info on how to play Fortnite via browser with Xbox Cloud Gaming, visit xbox.com/play or check out the dedicated support page. This is awesome. And as I said at the beginning, this has been a long time coming because on iOS and Android, Fortnite has been pretty much inaccessible unless you sideload onto an Android device, which is something that still works. But needless to say, that takes a bit of doing. It's not difficult, but any step beyond just downloading an app natively on the App Store tends to be something that a lot of users just simply are not going to do. And so when the game was removed from iOS and Android devices, it was a big blow to the overall community of players. And of course, I'm sure they saw a noticeable dip in the amount of people that had been playing Fortnite because mobile is just such an accessible device, especially for young players. I mean, we all know what they're called. They're iPad kids. This is the ultimate iPad kid game. And so now, with Xbox jumping in and partnering with Epic Games, that brings that experience back. But on top of that, it opens up Xbox Cloud Gaming to a huge audience of people that are just remotely familiar with gaming. You know, they play Fortnite, but not much else. If you get them into the Xbox Cloud Gaming experience and you say, hey, you can play this, but did you know we also have these? And you show them Forza Horizon 5, you show them Halo. And of course, some of these games are not supported by touch controls, but seeing them available through the cloud on these mobile devices is a great in for the Xbox ecosystem. So I totally understand the initiative here, and I do want to also be clear, I do not believe that Xbox is the only partner for Epic Games here. I also saw this coming to GeForce Now, if I remember correctly. But when it comes to Xbox specifically, I think the power of that brand combined with Fortnite as a brand is going to make this a very, very big deal as people are looking for a way to play Fortnite on the go. And I think people would be more than willing to do this. Now, there are some caveats to this approach to cloud gaming because not everybody has the internet infrastructure that warrants this kind of play. If you live in the middle of America and you have a dial up internet connection, this is not going to be a way that you can viably play Fortnite. And before, previously, when the game was just available natively on the App Store or Android, you could have enough bandwidth to support a match made game, but not necessarily the full streaming bandwidth. And so, with that being taken into account, this is not the best solution. But as that internet infrastructure improves, I think the cloud gaming is going to enable more of these style of workarounds where the App Store and Google Play may limit users and enable users to actually make the most of their devices and play their games wherever they want to play. Now, the big question here is what is the long term play, and how does this play into the bigger marketing opportunities that Xbox sees in the months ahead? Because we also saw a report that Xbox is planning to expand their cloud gaming initiative, and they are working on a dedicated streaming device as well as apps for TVs, according to reports. Now, I'm reading the report from Xbox Era, but I also wanted to mention this because if Fortnite launches on cloud gaming in May, and you also have a June event coming up. Let's say that Xbox Cloud Gaming becomes the star of the show at this coming Xbox event that we have with the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase in June. If cloud gaming is kind of heralded as this new piece of hardware, quote unquote, then you could see a dedicated streaming device that has Fortnite in its marketing materials. And on top of that, you also get access to this library of existing Xbox games and day one releases for Hellblade 2, day one releases for Forza Motorsport 8. That could be a very powerful marketing move, and it all starts right here. It all starts with Fortnite on Xbox Cloud Gaming. And I think they need to have something like this for this to really take the limelight in the way that it deserves to. Because I fully do believe that Xbox Cloud Gaming is going to be a big part of the overall ecosystem going forward. And they have released tons of statistics that show that cloud players are more invested in the Xbox ecosystem. They show that cloud players are experiencing more games. Playtime continues to go up. But you have to continue making this a value proposition that is worth the investment for those that aren't already diving into the Xbox ecosystem overall. The only reason that I use Xbox Cloud Gaming is because it's kind of like an accessory to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I didn't subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate for the Xbox Cloud Gaming experience, but the fact that it's there does allow me to play. And that's something that I will take advantage of. I think for this to ultimately be a successful turn for the Fortnite into paid membership move, you do have to have a more affordable streaming dedicated option in the Xbox Game Pass lineup. And so I would not be shocked to, in the next month or two, see multiple new tiers of Game Pass rolled out. Of course, you will have the family plan that we've been discussing in previous weeks, but I think there has to be some kind of streaming dedicated tier, or they could loop that in with the announcement of a dedicated streaming device, as we see in the report here. I think that makes a lot of sense as well, to kind of cluster those together. Now, the question is, what is the price of that going to be? I think probably between $7.99 and $9.99 per month, kind of put it on par with what you get from the Xbox Game Pass base tier on consoles. That seems to make sense to me. But overall, the return of Fortnite to iOS and Android through Xbox and this big partnership is going to pay dividends in the long run. And I do think that it really solidifies cloud streaming as something that is going to be a part of the mobile industry at the very least, and a part of the overall gaming industry in the future going forward. It's a pretty big deal. So really happy to see Xbox being proactive here. And I think this is one of the most innovative partnerships they could have created for the cloud gaming space, because not only does it give you Fortnite on Xbox through cloud gaming, it also fixes a problem. And people love it when you fix their problems. So this is certainly winning over the hearts of a lot of players. Embracer Group is added again this week. We saw a $300 million deal closed with Square Enix to acquire 3 big studios and tons of IP. In total, Embracer has officially snapped up Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal, according to WindowsCentral.com, and a range of familiar Western IP, including Deus Ex, Tomb Raider, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and 50 back catalog titles from the Japanese publisher. Once again, $300 million for 3 legendary studios and over 50 IP rights. That could be the best acquisition deal I've ever seen. And I'm not talking about deal like money changing hands. I'm talking about you got a deal, dude. That is a pretty good deal you closed there. Now, as a result of this, over 1,100 employees are going to be joining Embracer Group from these teams. And overall, the reception seems pretty positive. We've seen Crystal Dynamics put out tweets. We've seen the initiative put out tweets as well to talk about that Perfect Dark partnership that is going to be happening with Crystal Dynamics. And they write, "We're excited to see Crystal Dynamics take these next steps with their studio. Our teams have made great progress in building Perfect Dark together as co-development partners, and we will be continuing this work with them in their next chapter," end quote. So in short, projects are still on track, specifically this Perfect Dark project with Microsoft, but overall, looking back to the past few years of how Square Enix has handled these teams, specifically looking at Marvel's Avengers, I know that tons of people out there love the game. Luke Lore on the Xbox expansion pass is continuing to play Marvel's Avengers, but I think that we would all be kidding ourselves if we said that game had not been mishandled in some kind of way. And if you look back to what Square Enix has done overall, I even think that Outriders was not handled the best way that it could have been. And I think they've said that they still maintain the rights to Outriders, just to be clear, but just using it as an example. I think that there is a lot of opportunity for improvement in how Square Enix handles their Western IP. And I think that's exactly what they have acknowledged here by selling these off to Embracer Group for such a good price. Just being able to, cash out and say, hey, we are no longer interested in this market at the capacity at which we have been, and they just back up and they focus on their Japanese initiatives. I think that makes perfect sense. And ultimately, I think that it's going to result in better experiences for the developers and better games whenever they are matched with a partner that can better meet their needs. And Embracer Group, while acquisitions are frowned upon by some in the gaming community, have done pretty well with the studios they've acquired and the IP that they're managing now. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle Crystal Dynamics and the rest of these teams. And of course, the big question: future of Tomb Raider, future of Deus Ex. Are we finally going to be seeing another Deus Ex? This is a very exciting announcement for those that are longtime fans of those franchises. Of course, Tomb Raider has been pretty much killing it in the past decade or so with the reboot trilogy that we saw, but very excited for the future to learn more about their plans, and this entire deal is set to close in September of 2022. So stay tuned. I'm sure more news is going to be on the way from statements in the future. And so, of course, tune in right here to Xhibition. We will keep you in the loop as the news happens. Lawsuits fly left and right in the world of acquisitions, but this week we saw a very interesting lawsuit that targets Bobby Kotick at Activision Blizzard, saying that he basically pushed the deal to Microsoft through to avoid having to take responsibility for the workplace issues that he himself has helped contribute to and create. This news comes from Kay Holt over at Engadget, who writes, "The suit was filed by the New York City Employees Retirement System and pension funds that represent police, teachers, and firefighters. The plaintiffs, who own stock in Activision Blizzard, argue that the Microsoft deal allows Kotick and his fellow directors a means to escape liability for their egregious breaches of fiduciary duty. Since last July, Activision Blizzard has been the target of multiple lawsuits. It has been accused of fostering a frat boy culture, and some have made allegations of workplace harassment and discrimination. In March, a wrongful death suit was filed against the company. Activision Blizzard also said in a filing yesterday that it's cooperating with a Securities and Exchange Commission investigation on disclosures on employment matters and related issues." End quote. This is a pretty big deal, not because I think that it really puts the future of the deal itself at risk, but because it gives some accountability to Bobby Kotick and it holds him responsible for what has been happening in Activision Blizzard. The reality is that if you are the CEO of a company and you have these ongoing allegations and issues and multiple lawsuits and reports that show how bad your place of work is, you should not be allowed to just sell the company, get your golden parachute, and drift off into the distance, into the sunset, never to be seen again with $500 million, which is what is supposedly something he could walk away with once the deal closes. This should not happen. So, being able to see that there is at least one lawsuit that is trying to hold him personally accountable for what has happened is certainly good. Now, the big question is, will he just pay and get out of this? Very likely, very, very likely, which is super, super unfortunate. But this is once again another legal case that has made the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft very, very complicated. And I know they have a team of legal experts over there. They have plenty of lawyers to help guide the deal through. But personally, for me, I've always been a fan of the idea of if there's nothing wrong, then there's nothing to worry about. And so go in, investigate, make sure that everything is on the up and up, because if there is something wrong, it needs to be addressed. And if it holds back from, or if it holds Microsoft back, I should say, from acquiring Activision Blizzard, then so be it. I personally see no issue with that. I was talking on Twitter to Luke Lore of the Xbox Expansion Pass last week. I don't care what happens with the Activision Blizzard deal, because one way or another, as an Xbox player, I'm able to play all of these games. And as a PC player, I'm able to play all of these games. Who cares? But what I do want, what is important to me, is the idea of the workplace improving, is the idea of happy employees, which I think those two elements together ultimately make better games. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So we'll see where this one goes. Once again, multiple lawsuits outstanding. And this deal is set to close by sometime early of next year. So again, we've got a lot of time between now and then, and plenty of news to come without a doubt. Now let's roll through some new games and some new features coming soon to your Xbox experience, whether you play on PC, cloud, or console. Coming soon to Game Pass, Trek to Yomi, Uden Chronicle Rising, NHL 22, and more. This comes from Megan Spur, the community lead at Xbox Game Pass, who announces that NBA 2K22 is out now for cloud and console, along with Trek to Yomi and Loot River, which are both out on cloud, console, and PC. Citizen Sleeper is also available now, and on May the 10th, you can find Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition, and Uden Chronicle Rising, both on cloud, console, and PC, alongside This War of Mine, Final Cut, which is a pretty cool addition, and NHL 22 on console launches on May the 12th. Of course, you also have some new DLC and game updates like Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, Dynasties of India DLC, and Halo Infinite Lone Wolves Season 2, which is out right now if you do want to dive in. So a couple of side notes here. Trek to Yomi, getting kind of mid-reviews right now. Pretty much if it's on a 5-point scale, sitting at about a 3 for a lot of people. And I will say that after diving in, I disagree. I understand that the combat and the gameplay itself is simplistic, but I don't really find a problem with that. I think that this is a beautiful game that I'm really enjoying spending some time with. So dive in, check it out. Definitely recommend Trek to Yomi so far. And of course, I have been playing some Halo Infinite Season 2. And I have mixed feelings on Infinite Season 2. I watched the Kind of Funny Xcast yesterday where Joseph Staten joined the team to talk more about the future of Halo Infinite Season 2 and how it launched and just what to expect, with some very interesting tidbits there, including the return of some classic maps, which I think everybody has kind of seen coming, which could happen in the future. But when it comes to this week and Halo Infinite, I like where the game is at. I will say that I've only been match made with one arena match with the new map, Catalyst, and of course, Last Man Standing, or I should say Last Spartan Standing, is pretty much always just matching you with games on Breaker, the new map for Season 2. So I've spent some time with it, and I must say Catalyst is a wonderful map. I really enjoyed my time with it and look forward to going back and diving in more. But really good week in terms of games. Citizen Sleeper, I've seen a lot of people raving about. Loot River looks to combine basically some roguelike mechanics with Tetris and RPGs. It's a very strange little mashup from what I've seen. And of course, This War of Mine is a really legendary game that is very timely with what's happening in Ukraine right now. So really, really good update here. I think that as we hit the summer season, you'll see some pretty big announcements coming for Game Pass, especially next month during the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. So things are certainly heating up and much more is to come. But if you are playing on Windows 11, and you want to reboot some games very quickly, a new Windows 11 controller shortcut is a simple way to relaunch games. Basically, for right now, Windows insiders are testing the ability for, if you have an Xbox controller plugged into your PC and you touch the home button on your Xbox controller, it pops up a little bar at the top of your screen that has 3 recently launched games along with 3 launchers. So if you want to play Xbox, EA games, or Steam games, that will be an option there. But if you just closed out Forza Horizon 5, you can boot that up there. If you just closed out Halo Infinite, it's available with the push of a button. Very cool little shortcut here that I did want to mention that I saw pop up on the feed. And I think this is an important step forward. Not that it's a massive step forward, but it is something that continues improving the gaming experience on Windows 11. And I think that's something that needs to be focused on in the months ahead. You know, you talk about Xbox everywhere and Xbox anywhere. I need to be able to see the value proposition that comes with me building a gaming PC and enjoying those high-end graphics and high-resolution textures and lighting effects and things like that. But I also need to be able to see, why do I want to play through Xbox on this? Why should I subscribe to Game Pass? And I think these little just functional updates that hit the entire PC gaming audience will certainly be not necessarily focused on in the community, but something talked about and appreciated. So that is good to see. But as you play your games, you might be using the Xbox mobile app, and that is going to be getting a new Instagram-style makeover with a new Stories mode. This comes from Victoria Kennedy over at Eurogamer, who writes, "This month's update will bring you the activity feed on the Xbox app for iOS and Android in the form of stories. You will be able to create, share, and view stories with your friends in the Xbox app and add priority tags for your console gaming experiences with quality of service tagging," Xbox wrote in a blog post yesterday. Stories lets you showcase your skills and keep up to date with your friends. You can share your favorite gaming moments, including game clips, screenshots, and achievements with your friends in the Xbox community. So there are screenshots here, and you're looking at them now of what you can kind of expect. And for me personally, I don't see the need for this because Xbox right now is not a social destination for me. And I understand that this could be something that a lot of people use that are much more invested in their friend groups on Xbox. You know, if you are somebody who logs on and you immediately go to your friends tab to see who is playing and if there's a party you can join, this could be something that is much more viable as an option for how you connect with that online gaming community. And for those that spend a ton of their lives online, you know, where your core friend groups are playing Xbox games, this could be a really, really cool option. But for me, if I'm sharing my experiences, my achievements, my screenshots, it's usually going to be through either a YouTube short or a Twitter post. That's pretty much what I'm going to do. I don't really post stories on Instagram myself either, but again, these are my personal habits. And again, I'm 25, so people that might be younger could look at this and say, hey, this is awesome. I'm going to be doing this with my friends, showing them where I land in Fortnite, whatever it might be. I think there is a market for this. So I'm curious how this impacts long-term development of the Xbox app. And overall, if this is going to help shape the future of how gaming remains a social experience on Xbox as a platform. Because I do think that Xbox does social very well. I think they really need to improve their video editor and their content creation tools. But you see them really getting social in the past couple of weeks. We've seen Twitch integration come back directly built into Xbox with full webcam functionality. And so those kind of quality of life improvements are very important to help people connect and share their experiences, because you will never find a more affordable marketing tool than your players. That's what it comes down to. And so being able to help them enable them to share their experiences and showcase, look at this sunset in Red Dead Redemption 2. Look at this kill I just got in Halo Infinite Season 2. Look at this sick personal record that I set in Forza Horizon 5. Those kind of conversations drive sales. And so being able to enable them to sell is something that's important. And again, it really is about connection and bringing people together. But again, good marketing is a byproduct of that. So, looking forward to checking out this update myself. I know that I do use the app to download screenshots and share to Twitter. So, really cool stuff here, and I'm glad to see them continuing to improve the overall experience. Now, rounding out today's show, I did want to end on a bit of a high note, a funny note, if you will, because Clippy is back in Halo Infinite Season 2, and if you don't know Clippy, you're probably not as old as I am, because Clippy was a legend in the world of Microsoft Word. It was effectively Siri before Siri. If you had a question about Word, Clippy was there to help you, and it was pretty much just an animated menu to guide you through how to do something in Microsoft Office. But he has returned in the form of a nameplate in Halo Infinite Season 2's Battle Pass. On top of that, a weapon charm as well, a keychain you can put on the side of your weapon, and also some spray on the side of your weapon as well. You can paint Clippy on there if you do so choose. And let me tell you, I love this kind of thing, and I know that some people don't enjoy the joking nature of Spartans in Halo Infinite, and of course things are not overly comical. You know, you don't have Fortnite style skins or Warzone style skins in Halo Infinite Season 2, but the overall Microsoft ecosystem and the way they leveraged that in the Master Chief Collection, I think was done very, very well. I would love to see more of this kind of Microsoft humor brought into Halo Infinite. I think this is great. I think it's awesome. And of course, we also saw this kind of thing happening in Halo 5 as well. So 343 is just continuing the trend here. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm very excited about Halo Infinite Season 2. I think it has a ton of potential. And looking to the future, I think that Halo Infinite is in a good spot, especially as I said after listening to the XCast yesterday. I do think the team is setting themselves up for long-term success, and I think that the return of some classic maps into Halo Infinite is going to be a big benefit, and hopefully that will come over the summer. I would love to see that be the case, and I think that is something the team is working on right now. But I will also say that the speed at which content has come out is not great, and I think the team is very, very well aware of that. So with all of that being said, I do think that the future is bright, but fun little things like Clippy on a charm and these earnable cosmetics within the Battle Pass are great for me personally as somebody who loves grinding Battle Passes, and I have purchased the Season 2 Battle Pass, so you know I'm going to be diving in. But between new modes, new maps, and some new stuff to earn, I think Halo Infinite is sitting in a pretty good spot for spring. Definitely one I will continue to hit week after week. But again, you know, these games have to stay competitive because there is a lot of competition out there when it comes to my personal time. You have got to earn it for me, especially with Game Pass, continuing to bring games like Trek to Yomi to me. If you want me to spend time with your game, you've got to earn it. And so far, Halo Infinite has earned me back personally. But hey, we'll see what the summer brings. It should be interesting to follow along. And of course, you can always follow at Halo if you do want to follow along with the trends, the new announcements, and the new cosmetics, including Clippy. But that wraps up this week's episode of Xhibition, an Xbox podcast. And I will say, as we get into this summer season, I am lining up some conversations with other Xbox fans out there to discuss the overall standings of the platform, the games that are coming, the experiences we're having. And I'm looking forward to doing that more in the weeks ahead. I've already lined up a couple of conversations, and I'm looking to reach out to more people. And so, of course, you can always hit me up on Twitter. I'm just saying, the DMs are there. Let me know if you want to have a little conversation. Just throwing that out there. But until next week, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. But don't forget, keep on playing, and I'll see you soon.